On the Fringe with RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. A lot of crazy chaos coming out of this potential information with us knowing who the January pipe bomber is. We're going to talk about it, January 6th pipe bomber. We'll talk about it. There's questions about whether or not we've got it figured out. This might be misleading. This might not be 94% accuracy. We'll see. That's not really accurate. And most people might think, oh, it's pretty good, actually. Not really. It should be better, especially considering the uniqueness of the gate. We'll see, and we'll certainly talk about it. Got a lot of other things going on. Obviously, the shutdown's a big deal right now, and what's going on in Russia, a huge deal right now. And I'll be honest, I'm damn getting attacked by the bad guys. This is my second go at this recording because of what's happened, and then last week, man, I got hit hard. So we're coming through it. We're getting better. But yeah, we are going through a lot right now. All said, let's get this ball rolling because it's fun. I was almost done. I was like down to about here when it crashed. Yay. So let's do that all over again. Hopefully it'll be better and quicker than it was. You guys didn't miss a thing, as far as you know. Got a bad storm coming in. It's going to be coming in, hitting the East Coast hard. You guys are going to be very, very cold, getting some major snow going on. It's going to dip all the way down into Florida. I don't know if they're going to have problems on the orange crops like they have in the past. But my heart goes out to anybody out there that's having to deal with this horrible weather. So be on the lookout. Be careful. Airlines are adjusting flights as reductions begin. We understand that roughly 2,500 flights as of Saturday were closed. We'll see what actually comes out when I talk Monday about this because Sunday, I'm sure they canceled a whole bunch of flights as well. They are cutting back flights in the main 30 airports that they're talking about. We'll see how that continues to play out. Airlines are canceling a lot, like I said. So, again, we'll see how it plays out. Democrats are having a problem. They dislike men. And I don't know how this is going to work out well for them, especially white men specifically. But there are a lot of soy boys. There are a lot of people in their side of things, or eunuchs, which is a really mean thing to say. A eunuch is actually an individual who, as a child, had their globes chopped off or adjusted, or they don't work, or they never actually dropped, or whatever the case is. Eunuchs that's a pretty mean way to refer to a dude. Femboys, probably just as offensive. Whatever the case is, that's about all they've got when it comes to men. There's a perfect example of a eunuch or femboy. There you go. I'm so gay. Whatever. So, yeah, they are losing that battle. And, when half of your audience is your enemy, I don't know how you can be successful. But essentially, the Democrat Party is the party of women, and probably women that hate America, women that hate men, and women that just hate in general. Yay, right? We're doing so good. So much fun. China's population is likely half of the official claims. They're saying about 1.4 billion could be fake. I've been hearing this. It's hard to get any solid numbers. Nothing really gets past the Iron Curtain in China. It's really hard to get information out of there. They're oddly good at it, and they're very damaging to people that try to leak stuff. But best we understand is population's well below probably 1.4 billion. Some are suggesting 600 million. That's insane. I don't know if that's quite true, but it could be. But they are having all sorts of problems financially. And if they've lost that many people, most likely the elderly, in all honesty, which is, also bad because that's kind of a loss of wealth. And a lot of the elderly in most places in the world right now are helping the younger crowd because they're still living at home with mom and dad and don't have jobs. So things aren't going well there. China-U.S. rare earth deal. I don't know. There's a snag. There's some possibilities that some of these key ingredients are not going to be opened up. There's discussions that they're still requiring all sorts of hoops to jump through. They told Trump that wasn't the case, but we might be finding out that's maybe not as true as they suggested. We do know that there are three particular elements that have been opened up. Gallium, germanium, and antimony are being opened up, at least for now. And so we'll see. These rare earths, as you call them, are generally speaking not necessarily hard to find, but very hard to process. I mean, one example, and I forget which one it was, but say they process 1,000 tons of soil, 99% of that ends up being like radioactive thorium or something to that effect. and like 1% of it's the actual rare earth. So it's very dirty, very dirty. And so this is one of the problems that's being had. And China's doing a lot of this mining in all sorts of different countries where they don't care, and they're just making a mess wherever they're at. So we got a lot of issues that are happening. China's not really sure how to deal with Trump, frankly. Trump is kind of surprising them, doing weird moves. He's like a poker player that like bets heavy and then cuts out, or just, I don't know, like a poker player. You don't know what he's going to do. He doesn't make any sense, right? One minute he might cut out. One minute he's lying and bluffing, and you don't know for sure. And the next minute he's actually got a good hand and he's playing back his bet, and you don't know, and you kind of walk into it. Trump is playing a pretty hardcore game. So this tariff war, we'll see how it continues, but it's certainly going to continue moving in weird directions. People that are against tariffs are fools, Trump says. We are now the richest, most respected country in the world with almost no inflation and record stock market price. 401ks are the highest ever. We are taking in trillions of dollars and will soon begin paying down our enormous debt. $37 trillion. Now I heard it's 38, but whatever. Record investments in the USA, plants and factories going up all over the place. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, of course. I think typically it's couples under 150,000 and likely single earners, 75 and below, maybe. Maybe they're going to go a little higher with it. We'll see. Might be $100,000. Hard to say. But putting money in people's pockets makes it really hard to argue that Trump's not doing things to help everybody out. That's for sure. The Dems have blocked a GOP bill ensuring federal workers and military paychecks would continue to happen, not just now, but in the future. Senator Ron Johnson's been putting this through, and it failed yet once again. J.D. Vance posted this: many of my friends and former colleagues in the Senate are against eliminating the filibuster because they don't think the Democrats will do it. This is just obviously wrong. The reason the filibuster exists is because of Democratic Senators Manchin and Sinema. Both of them had their careers destroyed by the far left for protecting the filibuster. And you better believe every Senate Democrat internalized that lesson. That's why a lot of the Republicans are afraid to make that move too. Here's Tim Burchett. He's talking about exposing Chuck Schumer's plan, and it's a crap plan, that's for sure.
Thank y'all for seeing me here. Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. Chuck Schumer's new proposals come out, and he is trying to trick the American public once again. The media, his lapdogs in the media are all over this, and the Democrats are running to the table saying they're at the table. He wants to give the insurance companies, literally, get this, $35 billion without any checks or balances or any agreement to lower people's health care costs. I think this shows you who's running this little cabal. The insurance companies are getting fat. They've had billion-dollar profits over the last few years. People's health insurance has gone up. This Obamacare is a nightmare. People's rates have doubled, $14,000 deductibles, things like that. Just crazy stuff. And, Pelosi wanted you to pass it so you know what's in it. Well, you know what's in it. And these dates, these arbitrary cutoff dates are set by the Democrats. And they knew this date was going to come. And they're trying to use this thing as leverage. This is a bad deal for America. It's a bad deal for consumers. And they shouldn't be holding, and this is exactly what Schumer's doing. He's holding people who need this insurance. That's the only insurance they can get because the government made sure of that. And he's holding them hostage, and he's making the big insurance companies billions upon billions of dollars profit. It's ridiculous. Anyway, shame on Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate. This is pathetic. We need to fix the system so Americans can have affordable health care. It needs to be more market-driven and less politician-driven and K Street lobbyist-driven, which is what it is now. Thank y'all for seeing me here.
Yeah, and we've made these people richer and richer. I mean, that's the insurance companies have gotten extraordinarily rich off this Obamacare. It's a horrible idea. Republicans reject Democrats' one-year ACA extension to end the shutdown. Reason being, it would continue the inflation of insurance. It would, by giving government money to the insurance companies, it's causing the insurance to spike even higher. The only way to deflate that problem is to stop giving the money to insurance companies. So by rejecting the Democrats' one-year extension, which is what they were trying to do, is help these insurance companies be even richer and cause Obamacare to be even more expensive and kick the can down the road. And they're hoping they can win the election next year if they would have been able to pull this off. But the Republicans, they're right in what they're doing. Trump is urging Senate GOP to send that health insurance money directly to the people. Screw that. He's talking about giving them an HSA account for each of the dollar amount that they would have spent to the insurance companies. No. We're going to give that straight to the people and let them spend it on insurance. And that way they can go to the free market, and that might actually cause some companies to lower prices to get those dollars. That's competition. That's free market. That's politicians getting their hands out of it. That is a good move forward. So Trump has got a great plan going on. Eric Doherty posted this. Breaking, Senator Rick Scott has immediately begun drawing up legislation in line with President Trump's demands of giving Obamacare money to people directly, not big insurance. So huge. There's already moving in that direction. Thune is saying the bipartisan shutdown talks have been positive. This was Saturday, day 39. He was saying this. We're now day 40. And again, the longest shutdown ever. Every day that it continues will be the longest shutdown ever. So you'll probably tire of people saying that. Just understand, so long as the shutdown continues, it is this longest shutdown ever. Whatever the final day is, whether it's 40 days, 50 days, 60 days, we'll see. We'll see. There was suspicion that last Thursday, after the election, that the shutdown would end. But no, that's not happening. Let's look at the futures here. Yeah, futures are up. It's still early in the day. Typically on Sundays, it's like later in the day before we really start to see what's going on with the stocks. And again, the stock market's it's bullshit. It's the deep state. They're playing around with these numbers. It's all a bunch of horse shit, frankly. Gold and silver are up a little bit, which is also fantastic. But what I do want to remind you guys is this system is not long for this world. The Federal Reserve is not long for this world. Many things have to play out. So if you've got a 401k or an IRA, I've got a very, very special deal going on this month for you. My good friends at Goldco, go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Goldco's offering up to 10% free silver for what you move over. From your 401k or IRA, you're going to move it over, tax-free, penalty-free. You're going to move as much of it as you can. A lot of people say, oh, you got to have that silver and gold sent straight to you. That's the same thing as a payout. So if you want to do that, that's fine, but you're going to get taxed and penalized a bunch. It's going to be rapage, essentially. So how do you not get raped? Well, you use my good friends. They move it sideways. Tax-free, penalty-free. They get precious metals. They put it into a trust. You're going to get up to 10% free silver. I believe that's sent to you. And coming out of my pocket, up to 1%. Well, 1%, not up to. You're going to get 1%. Anything over $10,000 and up, you're going to get 1% free silver as a gift from me. Because I love you guys and I want to try to give back, and I was able to work out a pretty sweet deal with Goldco, and this was pretty awesome. So it's going to help you out in the big picture. You're also going to get a Ronald Reagan coin, half-ounce collectible silver coin, which is pretty freaking sweet. But all of this is going to be protecting your wealth, and that's really what it's all about. Let my good friends help you through this. It takes about 5 to 6 business days to close a sale. These sales have to be closed by November month end to qualify. That's it. All you want to do is make sure you get in here, get the ball rolling. You can change your mind if you want. It's not like you're locked in the second you do this, but you get the ball rolling. You're going to give yourself a chance to pick up some free silver, lots of free silver, up to 11% free silver. 1% from me, up to 10% from Goldco, and you're going to be protecting your wealth from these monsters that are trying to destroy your life and your buying power. Protect that buying power, put it into precious metals. We're heading into a rough patch, and this is the best way to make sure you don't lose all of that hard work you've put into that 401k, all that matching that your employer has done. Take advantage of it. Save that buying power, protect it. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Protect that wealth before they take it from you. And many understand that's not far away. Donald Trump trooped this out. J6 shocker. FBI informants warned of armed violence, Antifa presence before the riot. Lawmakers are revealing. So information's coming out. A lot of stuff's coming out about J6 right now. A lot of stuff. Speaking of which, we got some new clues emerge of the potential January 6th pipe bomber identity. A 94% match on the gait, on the walk, the unique stride. Now, the individual that they've got this pointed towards is Shawnee Ray Kirkhoff. I don't personally think this looks like a female's body. This looks like a male's body to me. They may walk like female. I don't know. The legs seem a little thick from the pictures we've seen of this Shawnee lady. She just doesn't have thick legs like that, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What is interesting, though, is we're moving forward and figuring some stuff out. They have done a pretty high probability match. This is public available software, so I think the stuff the FBI has is probably significantly better. And also the database of different people walking is probably significantly better. All said, they actually were surveilling, the FBI, the next door neighbor of this Kirkhoff person. She was literally 5 feet. Her front door is like 5 feet away from this person's front door that they were investigating. Now, FBI investigators were looking into it. In fact, Kyle Seraphin, he was the lead FBI surveillance team. He told the Daily Wire that shortly after January 6th, a counterintelligence team met him at the firehouse in Falls Church, Virginia, to brief him on his next surveillance target. They had used security footage to follow the person into a metro station after he planted the bombs and identified the fare card that was used. That fare card then followed them to determine that the person got off at a metro stop in Northern Virginia, where surveillance footage showed the person entering a car. Both the car and the fare card were in the name of the same person, a retired Air Force Chief Master Sergeant who was now working as a contractor with a security clearance, they said. Seraphin and his team were assigned to stake out the person's row house for days, but the FBI blocked his request to interview the person, he said. Then they were called off the target completely and told to pour through low-priority leads about minor January 6 participants, he said. Allegedly, someone threw bombs around the Capitol, which could have killed congressmen or a busload of nuns or anything, and the answer is you can't follow this guy around. You have to go to headquarters and read leads where someone said, I might have went to high school with some guy that was standing around the Capitol. Yeah, they called him off. Now, this lady, she injured herself. She was a Division I athlete from Ohio. She played goalkeeper. Woohoo! That's what I used to do. She was also at Temple University and later for Columbus Eagles Football Club. She had a significant leg injury in college and required surgery that left her with a slight limp. And this is where they're figuring this strange gate came from. So, again, we'll see what comes from it. 94% is not the best in the world, but we'll see. More damning evidence, I'm sure, is coming in the big picture, and we shall, again, see what happens in the not-too-distant future. Brianna Morello, possibly, most likely, she said another federal employee with knowledge of the J6 pipe bomb investigation tells me they do not believe Shawnee Kirkhoff had a role in the pipe bomb. This source tells me they know where she was at the time, and they do not believe it's her. The FBI may have another suspect they've focused on in their criminal investigation. So again, this might be misleading, and sometimes some of the people that are putting some of this info out might not necessarily, and I don't mean Kyle, Kaneko Great, sorry. I don't mean he's necessarily bad, but the people that are pushing this may not be accurate and may think they're accurate, but end up pushing narratives that we just glom onto as people. And because of that, who knows? So again, I'm always hesitant to just jump on the bandwagon ever about anything. You guys probably know that about me at this point. But this is certainly information. I want to make sure it's in your hands, and you can do with it as you please. But I don't know. Again, I think the individual has... when you look at the head and shoulder ratio, to me it could very easily be a dude. Certainly no boobs. I don't know if we've got pictures of this chick where we can see whether or not she's got any boobies up front. She might be flat-chested. I don't know, and I don't mean that in any sort of derogatory way, but meh, it is what it is. If it offends flat-chested women out there, I apologize for your flat chest. Yeah. Federal Housing Director says agency is working on a 50-year mortgage, thanks to President Trump. It's kind of a game changer, kind of crazy. I think I saw a post, and I might be remembering the president incorrectly, but I want to say it was Roosevelt that created the 30-year mortgage. Now Trump is creating the 50-year mortgage. This is a great idea, and this is going to allow a lot of people to be able to purchase homes, which is fantastic, but it also demonstrates a huge, huge failure in our economy. This is inflation to the next level. You need now a 50-year loan to actually get a house. Now, again, this is going to allow a lot of people to be able to buy homes that couldn't buy homes. My recommendation, there's people that are talking about how this is going to make banks rich. Yeah, that's what loans do. Guess what? Better to do that than necessarily make a landlord rich, right? Because landlords will raise your rent every year. Mortgage, if you get a fixed rate, it doesn't change. In 50 years, that's the same rate you're going to pay. Everyone else could be paying gobs of money to rent, and you're still going to have that agreement that you made with the loan companies. Can't change your payment. And one thing I recommend is what I try to do if I can, is you pay a little extra, and that actually winds down the premium principal interest or principal loan faster. And when you're able to do that, you actually pay it off quicker, but you also screw with the interest calculation. So you actually take some of that profit away from the banks. And so that's always my recommendation, is if you can pay even $10 extra a month, adds up, believe it or not. So a lot of things, but this is moving in the right direction, certainly giving people a chance to get a house, which right now doesn't really exist. We've got a Russiagate probe. We got some extra people that have now had the grand jury throw some indictments their way. Brennan, Strzok, and Page are on the hot seat as it stands.
But first, breaking tonight, a major development in the Russiagate investigation. The Justice Department is taking its case to a grand jury. They are accusing top officials in the Obama administration of conspiring to harm the candidacy and then the presidency of Donald Trump. Correspondent David Spunt explains tonight these new breaking details. Hi, David.
Hi, Jillian. Attorney General Pam Bondi signed this order earlier today directing an unnamed U.S. federal prosecutor to take evidence to a grand jury relating to an alleged conspiracy to tie then 2016 presidential candidate Donald Trump to Russia. Now, Fox News reviewed the one-page order today signed by the Attorney General. A source familiar with the probe also confirms this story. While a DOJ spokesperson declined to comment on the report of an investigation, Fox is told that AG Bondi is taking referrals from the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, quote, very seriously. The source says Bondi believes there is, quote, clear cause for deep concern, end quote, and a need for the next steps. Now, the move comes just a couple of weeks, Jillian, after Gabbard sent a criminal referral revealing what she called, quote, overwhelming intelligence to prove a conspiracy by then President Obama and his national security team to undermine Trump's candidacy and his first term in office. Now, to be clear, there are no charges filed at this point. This is very early in the process. Now, what we're seeing today is taking evidence that the Justice Department believes it has to a grand jury to secure an eventual indictment. Now, we don't know where the grand jury will meet or who would testify. Grand juries determine if there is enough evidence to indict. They may find out there's not. Grand juries in the United States are secretive, and it's normal not to know all the answers at this stage. Again, though, the Justice Department declines comment on any investigation, but Jillian, certainly a story we will continue to follow.
A lot more questions tonight than answers, it sounds like. Thank you, David.
So. Thank you.
Kind of the state of affairs across the board, isn't it? I would say. Let's turn this. Let's do something smart here before that starts making more noise. We've got Comey's daughter reportedly sought to cut a deal with Epstein to smear Trump. Literally was offering him a plea deal as long as he would blame Trump back in July of 2019. Didn't matter if they could prove that what he said was true, so long as they could not prove that it was a lie was the big deal. It seems that Epstein didn't go along with that deal, it seems. This would also, to me, it would add some possibility that maybe this guy was put into witness protection, but I kind of still think he got smoked by somebody. There was some speculation that it might very well be his cellmate, this dude, which I think is so funny how much this looks like, what's that content creator that works for the CIA? It kind of looks like him, I think. But whatever. I'm not trying to be a dick. I just think it's funny as hell when people like really do look like somebody that's out there. Whatever the case is. We'll see. It didn't happen, but they tried. And, of course, Comey's daughter was fired as soon as Trump came back into term. The judge for Stephen Miller's trial basically is not going after the Democrat who doxed him. They're not letting him get the phone records. There's this big fight. It's being appealed. This is partially why Stephen Miller and others are having to live on military bases with their families because of the dangers to them. Again, that's a pretty smart move and pretty ingenious to keep these individuals safe. And Gabbard, him, there's a number of them, Hegseth, that are being protected. And as much as it might suck, at the same time, being alive sucks far less than being dead, right? unless you just hate being alive. But most people are pretty stoked about it. So there'll be appeals on this. We'll see what happens. Homeland Security posted this. Today, U.S. Border Patrol was conducting immigration enforcement operations near 26th Street and Kedzie Avenue in Chicago, Illinois, when an unknown male driving a black Jeep fired shots at agents and fled the scene. An unknown number of agitators also threw a paint can, and bricks at Border Patrol vehicles. Chicago Police Department was called for assistance and cleared the scene. The shooter and vehicle remain at large, and this is a dynamic situation. This incident is not isolated and reflects a growing and dangerous trend of violence and obstruction. Over the past 2 months, we've seen an increase in assault and obstruction targeting federal law enforcement during operations. These confrontations highlight the dangers our agents face daily and the escalating aggression towards law enforcement. The violence must end, and 100% agree with that. Oddly, Trump-appointed federal judge in Portland, Oregon, said that Trump cannot use the National Guard in Portland. Again, everyone's trying to make it seem like, oh, she was put in by Trump, so that makes it okay. No, she's bought and paid for, or she's been threatened, or something. So this is Portland for you. It doesn't matter if Trump put somebody in. This individual obviously is concerned for her life, her family, whatever the case is, and she's not going to break that, which is fine. This is going to be appealed. They're already talking about moving it in that direction. But it's funny is she, in her final 106-page ruling, she rejected arguments from the government lawyers that protests at the ICE buildings made it impossible for federal officers to carry out immigration enforcement, represented a rebellion, or raised the threat of rebellion. Quote, the evidence demonstrates that these deployments, which were objected to by Oregon governor and not requested by the federal officials in charge of protection of the ICE building, exceeded the president's authority. Judge also disputed the president's claim that Antifa, at least in Portland, is an organized group working against the U.S. government. Wow. Also stating that testimony from ICE's regional director about damage to the building and how disruptive the protests were was not believable. The damage to the building is obvious. There's pictures of it. That's insane. So again, obviously, this lady is compromised one way or another. Not a surprise. Maryland sues Trump administration over the FBI headquarters relocation. Maryland obviously getting a payout, and this is why they decided to do this. They were going to build a building. There was going to be a whole lot of money that was going to be spent in Maryland. Maryland was probably going to pocket gobs of that. Trump basically said, yeah, no, we're not doing that. Instead of building a whole brand new building, we're just going to move them just barely up the street at the Ronald Reagan Building Complex in D.C. That'll give the protection and the upgrades in security and whatnot that the FBI requires and needs. And it saves the U.S. taxpayer gobs of money, regardless if Congress already approved gobs of money. This is about saving us money. And this move to Maryland doesn't need to happen, especially considering Maryland's not been playing nice when it comes to protecting certain members that live there, when it comes to judges, when it comes to a lot of things. So looks like they're going to sue, and I'm sure some district judge is going to say that Trump has to give them all the money and it has to be immediate. Whatever the case is, that'll get appealed. Ultimately, I think Trump's going to be allowed to do what he's doing, and we'll see it play out. SNAP food aid gets to people in some states while others remain in limbo, and we are definitely seeing a kind of a growing trend. This is a good little piece here. Check it out.
A late-night decision from the Supreme Court on food stamps. It's allowed the federal government to put a pause on fully funding SNAP in November. The court's decision pauses a lower court's order that forced the Trump administration to fully fund the food stamps program for November. The Trump administration had already committed to partially funding SNAP. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson issued the pause to give an appeals court more time to make a judgment on the government's appeal. She is assigned to handle emergency appeals from the First Circuit Court. The Supreme Court has not weighed in on the merits of the case.
Yeah, kind of surprised that Ketanji Jackson Brown allowed this to move forward. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But some states already got the money. They kind of jumped ahead and made sure to get some payments. Some of the states that have the biggest problems. So that's probably best in the big picture. This is an interesting little bit of fraud that's going on. A Somali restaurant in Minneapolis, a number of Somali restaurants for that matter, and under some similar people, and a specific individual with the, I believe the city council or something along those lines. Whatever the case is, this is all sorts of messed up. Check this story out.
Fraud case. In December of 2021, the FBI installed a surveillance camera overlooking this building just off Lake Street in Minneapolis. At the time, it was Safari Restaurant, which overall took in $12 million in federal child meal payments through Feeding Our Future. Safari's former co-owner, Salim Saeed, is on trial alongside Amy Bach, the Feeding Our Future executive director. Safari claimed to feed 4,000 to 6,000 kids a day. Its invoices and meal counts shown to the jury alongside the video. An FBI agent testified that an average of 40 people came and went during the 6 weeks it was surveilled. The FBI set up a total of 12 cameras at sites claiming to serve extraordinary numbers of meals. Another was at a deli in St. Paul, also registered by defendant Salim Saeed, which claimed 1,800 meals per day. The video shown to the jury showed an average of 23 people a day coming and going. The jury was shown dozens of invoices, meal counts, and emails seized from Feeding Our Future's headquarters in St. Anthony. Some showed links to websites that randomly generated names and ages to create rosters of children who were served meals. Many were signed or sent by Amy Bach, who's charged with wire fraud, along with bribery for the alleged kickbacks that she received. Her defense attorney tried to raise doubt when it cross-examined the FBI agent, that they didn't see the back entrance where it's possible meals left packed in trucks for delivery. He pushed back, insisting they'd still see congestion. To that volume, he said, I would say it would not make any sense.
That case became one of the biggest COVID-era frauds in America. And the kicker, Minnesota's own Department of Education had red flags. Massive spikes in reimbursement requests, impossible meal counts, and they still rubber stamped the paperwork. Now, this new audit proves what everyone with a brain has been saying for years. Incompetence starts at the top. When the governor's own office is sloppy with receipts, how can he possibly keep his agencies in line? Republican Senate Leader Mark Johnson said it perfectly. Quote, sloppy accountability at the top breeds waste and abuse everywhere else. And he's right about that. You cannot preach fiscal responsibility when you are overpaying employees, losing state property, and mismanaging vendor payments. And it's not just the Feeding Our Future mess. We've also got the Autism Services fraud case, another multi-million-dollar scam in the same state, involving clinics billing for therapy that never happened. And to make it worse, some of those same providers were linked to the Feeding Our Future network. It's the same pattern: inflated invoices, non-existent oversight, and zero accountability.
Where do you think the Somalis are getting all this money to win all these elections and put all these people in charge of the state? This is a racket, and it's coming to an end, that is for sure. Donald Trump says, I've asked the DOJ to immediately begin an investigation into the meatpacking companies who are driving up the price of beef through illicit collusion, price fixing, and price manipulation. We will always protect our American ranchers, and they are being blamed for what is being done by a majority foreign-owned meatpackers who artificially inflate prices and jeopardize the security of our nation's food supply. Action must be taken immediately to protect our consumers, combat illegal monopolies, and ensure these corporations are not criminally profiting at the expense of American people. I am asking the DOJ to act expeditiously. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Kansas mayor has been charged with allegedly voting as a non-citizen. We talked about this on Friday. I don't know if they had been charged yet. I think there was indications that they were going to be, but it seems as though they have now officially been charged. So that's excellent stuff. Secretary of State Scott Schwab and Attorney General Chris Kobach, they said Wednesday that they filed 6 charges. I should have known already, but yeah. Either way, if I covered it, cool. If not, now you know. Donald Trump, truth this. Vivek Ramaswamy is running for governor of the great state of Ohio, a place I love and won big 3 times in 2016, 2020, and 2024. I know Vivek well, competed against him, and he is something special. He is young, strong, and smart. Vivek is also a very good person who truly loves our country. As your next governor, Vivek will fight tirelessly to grow the economy, cut taxes and regulations, promote Made in the USA, champion American energy dominance, keep our now very secure border secure, stop migrant crime, strengthen our military veterans, ensure law and order, advance election integrity, and protect our always under siege Second Amendment. Vivek Ramaswamy will be a great governor of Ohio and has my complete and total endorsement. He will never let you down. It's awesome. It's awesome that he's pushing it. I love it. FAA pinpoints engine pylon detachment for the deadly UPS air freighter crash. Looks like up to 14 people now have been confirmed dead. This literally lost its engine on the runway. As soon as it went to take off, or as they say, roll collective. I forget what the hell they state that. But basically, as they start to roll to take off, it lost its engine. One engine lost the cowling. Looks like it lost the engine itself, which is just crazy. I was watching a video last night. These engines are attached with something like 8 bolts. It's not that many bolts, which is kind of a trip. Whatever the case is, the entire fleet of the MD-11 air freighters have been grounded, not by the FAA, but by UPS and FedEx. Both of them use some of them, not a whole lot, but certainly some of them. It looks like, what were the numbers? I want to say it's like 4%, 4% or something to that effect for UPS's total aircraft are this type, and slightly higher percentage. There it is, 9% for UPS. Sorry, FedEx has about 4% of this fleet. The MD-11, best I can tell, and you guys can correct me, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but essentially, it looks like, at first I was wondering if it was like the old LT-11, but that's not. The LT-11 had the engine, the intake looked just like a DC-10, but it actually went down. The thrust part came out the back, so it's a slightly different look to it. So these, I believe, are essentially what used to be the DC-10, the MD-11. It's just probably a new name, probably somewhat enhanced in some way, shape, or form. Still McDonnell Douglas, which is tied in with Boeing. That's also interesting. Again, so large problems. It looks like the pilots were possibly trying to dump fuel to lighten the load before they crashed. Again, this is just tragedy. So we'll see what comes from it. Certainly very interesting, though, to have the whole entire engine fall off. That's rare. That doesn't happen often. Like I said, there's only like 8 bolts that actually attach it, which is a little freaky. Tucker Carlson delivers a grave prediction as Zohran Mamdani takes charge in New York City. I think this is where my crash happened. We'll see if we can get through this video. Should be able to.
As for Mamdani, I mean, there are a lot of things to say. I won't go on about it, but I just found it, speaking of Israel taking over the conversation, this is a guy who said in public and then defended his statement that we're going to tax whites more because they're white.
Yeah.
And nobody cared. And it's like, what the hell? Bottom line, without getting all worked up, I will say, it's our biggest city. It's 8 million people. Cities are incredibly complex organisms, take centuries to build. My ancestors helped build New York, by the way, but can be destroyed very, very quickly. Look at Johannesburg, 30 years, and it's a husk. It's a joke, and it was a beautiful city. Look at Gary, Indiana, Detroit. Look at almost all of our cities, Baltimore. And that could happen to New York City very soon. In fact, it will. I have a child who lives there. Call me today. I was like, I'm leaving. I'm not an ideological person. It's just like we know where this is going because it's happened in dozens and dozens. In fact, it's happened to almost every single big city we have. And now it's happening to our biggest city, and it's just the greatest tragedy. And I feel like it doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to happen. It's just like your house. If you allow, as the father, as the patriarch in your family, chaos to break out, and you don't settle it down and set limits and say, I would say my family, I'm all about no. That's my job. I don't like saying no, but that's my duty. Someone has to be like, no, we're not doing that. We're not, pissing in the street. We're not having sex in an ATM vestibule. We're not pushing people in front of subway cars. We're not smoking drugs in the park. Like, how about no? And because no one is willing to say that, it just inexorably falls apart. And I think it's the saddest thing I've ever seen.
And truly, truth to that, right? So it is pretty bad. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell's lead is down to under 2%. Challenger Katie Wilson has been gaining some ground with the mail-in voting, which is, where all the progressive votes tend to come in. There you go. Looks like most likely Seattle's going to turn into a progressive mayor as well. Oh, the joy of this, because there's going to be some crap that's going to happen because of this. Spokane business leaders are speaking out against a proposed 12% parking tax. Basically, Spokane's got a reasonably large downfall or lack of tax funds, and so this is their way of trying to increase tax revenue. But they are trying to force, and they're pushing this through law in a weird way, but they're trying to enforce a 12% parking tax on Monday with little to no notice. The vote's already slated for later this month. So Emily Cameron, president of Downtown Spokane Partnership, emailed a letter to the officials and their staff on Monday. It hit their inboxes just a few hours before John Snyder, their city's transportation and sustainability director, presented Mayor Elisa Brown's proposal amid a $13 million general fund gap. Again, Spokane, Eastern Washington, blue state, blue city, they're bankrupt. They're losing money. Who's surprised? Anybody? Minneapolis re-elected Democrat Mayor Jacob Frey. He's delivering his victory speech in Somali. There you go, Minneapolis. Well done. Again, where are these Somalis getting their money to run? Think about it. Think about it, guys. Florida suing Planned Parenthood, invoking mafia law. It's kind of interesting. In this kind of a weird case, I don't know if it's actually going to get anywhere, but Planned Parenthood's apparently been making misleading statements about their abortion-inducing drug, mifepristone. I don't know how to say it. Mifepristone? Whatever. The abortion pill, right? The complaint filed under the Federal Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act alleges that Planned Parenthood falsely advertises mifepristone as being safer than Tylenol. Literally, they say safer than Tylenol. That's definitely not true. Mifepristone, if approved by the Federal Drug Administration back in 2000, or when it was, I should say, is typically taken with misoprostol to induce a chemical abortion. According to the lawsuit, the drug carries significant risks, with roughly 10% of users experience serious complications within 45 days. Mayor's filing also cites research indicating that on average more than one death per year has been linked to mifepristone since its approval. Planned Parenthood sells profitable abortions to vulnerable women by lying to them. So again, I don't think that many people die from Tylenol each year, or that many people get sick from Tylenol each year. 10% of Tylenol users are not getting sick in 45 days. That might be doing damage to us over long terms. That's probably true. But anyway, we'll see where that case goes. Appeals court lets Texas enforce law limiting drag shows. Federal appeals court on November 6 allowed Texas to enforce a state ban on drag shows performed in the presence of minors. Period. End of story. Not allowed to do it. Said the lead plaintiff, a nonprofit known as the Woodlands Pride Inc., which was found to lack standing, sponsors an annual Pride Festival in Montgomery County, Texas. Standing refers to the right of someone to sue in court. The parties must show a strong enough connection to the claim to justify their participation in the lawsuit. The law, known as Texas Senate Bill 12, regulates sexually oriented performances that take place on public property and in the presence of minors. U.S. Circuit Judge Kurt Engelhardt wrote the majority opinion. A sexually oriented performance is defined as a visual performance that features a performer who is nude or engages in sexual conduct and appeals to the prurient interests in sex. Pretty much what they're doing. So yeah, they basically said, yeah, you can ban that. So good job, Texas. You guys continuing to rock and roll. Cornell settles with Trump administration for millions. Overall, I think $30 million. Oh, no, $60 million total. Yeah, the university announced Friday that it will pay $30 million over 3 years to a federal government for unspecified purposes, meaning the Trump administration can use it for whatever the hell they want, I think. And then on top of that, Cornell's going to invest another $30 billion in programs incorporating artificial intelligence and robotics, such as digital agriculture and future farming technologies. So, cool. That's another victory for Trump. Fantastic. Want to remind you guys, of course, of one of my favorite companies that I promote right now. And this is, of course, Healthy Home. You want to go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com or danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Great products. STEM Active's one of my favorites. I just made sure I took it this morning because I've been going through a little bit, and healing is something that I'm needing a little of right now. So stem cells are the cells that actually become other cells in the body. They heal you. They're your healing cells. So as we age, a lot of things happen. They always talk about antioxidants. Well, it's the oxidation or the oxidants that actually do a lot of the damage to our bodies. As we age, the number of stem cells starts to reduce. The number of your cells that actually can heal you start to reduce. And you'll notice when certain people hit that certain age and they just start to shrivel down, right? They start to that's it. And you can tell that's the point when the oxidation has overpassed the stem cell activity. What this doesn't put stem cells in your body. That'd be gross because that usually comes from fetal cells, fetal tissue, fetal gross, right? These are actually plant-based, helps your body produce 25 to 40% more stem cells, boom, right out of the gate. Boom, right out of the gate. So it helps you stay ahead of aging. It helps you heal quicker. You got problems, you got some kidney issues, you got liver issues, you got muscle issues, you got bone issues, doesn't matter. Stem cells can become any cell in the body. When they're born, if you will, they're like androgynous. They're like, hey, I can be anything I want. And they'll run out and become a lung cell, or they'll become a muscle cell. And once they do, they're stuck that way forever, for the rest of their life. Stem cells are very important in the healing process, and this gives you a leg up big time. Balance is another really big product that has been helping women, particularly. Women that are going into and out of the baby-making phase of their life, right? When you're younger and you're starting to go into it, your hormones are a mess. And when you're older and start leaving the baby-making part of your life, your hormones are a mess. This, again, doesn't put any synthetic hormones in you at all. This is plant-based. It's totally healthy. And in fact, the two ladies that I was having a wonderful chat with about this, both of them were getting the synthetic hormones, like SREs or whatever they're called, right? And they were both taking them. One of them actually enjoyed the effect they were getting from them, started taking Balance with those, and was noticing like everything was perfect. She's like, oh, this has just nailed it out perfectly. The other lady, she didn't like the SREs or whatever. She didn't like the synthetic hormones. And so didn't take them and started using the Balance, and the Balance was taking care of the problem for her. Whatever the case is, you're going to notice a difference if you're in that phase of your life. If you've got a younger lady in your world, daughter or something, I hope. If you're dating someone that's that age, that's kind of gross. Or if you're a lady that's a little older, this is providing balance. A lot of people aren't sleeping well. Their temperatures are all messed up. Their relationships are screwed up because they're all out of the box, all crazy. This helps fix that. This helps balance back in your life, balance back in your relationships, balance in how you feel. It's giving ladies their lives back to them. It's a powerful product. They talk about clicks, how many clicks you're using. It's a transdermal lotion, right? So you can 1, 2, 3 clicks. That's how much goo is going to come out of this thing. Put it on your wrist, you rub them together, it's transdermal, boom. It's a lot of blood flow goes through this part of your body, so it's a great place to provide it or put it. And almost immediately, you'll start to notice the effects. And you'll start to notice, oh my God, this is really starting to help. Very powerful product. Amaze is another one that will literally do what it says. It will amaze you. When it comes to sagging skin, sore muscles, joint discomfort, lifeless hair, fingernails, this is it. Collagen. That's your secret right there, your go-to. Collagen peptides specifically. Peptide's the smallest molecule that really is effective, and it absorbs super easy into the body. So collagen peptides are giving you this. It's a liquid. Amaze is awesome, and it's actually delicious too. It's delicious, like a lemon berry flavor. It's very good. I actually enjoy this flavor more than any of the other flavored stuff they've got. This is delicious. It is awesome. It's helping people notice a huge difference. Fingernails are growing, hair is growing, and if you're someone that's going through the weight loss process, this helps with the skin too. It helps your skin kind of stay a little more supple and less saggy. If you lose weight too fast, like some of the people that are using the Ozempic and stuff like that, not that I'm an expert in that, but if you lose weight too fast, you're actually going to find that your skin doesn't catch up. It takes a little while, and it will eventually catch up, but it doesn't as quickly. You can lose weight faster than your skin can deal with, and your skin starts to look gross. It starts to look like it's like you got way too much skin on your body. And let's be honest, that's pretty gross. This helps with that too. Amaze is an amazing product. Please check it out. Prime is awesome because it helps. It's a nitric oxide booster. It essentially helps move more oxygen through your body at the same time as normal. So essentially it's more energy. Oxygen's energy. That's what it comes down to. And this gives you more energy. You won't notice when it kicks in per se, but you'll notice you have more energy. You'll just be doing stuff. You'll be running with the kids. You'll be out doing yard work, and you're like, for some reason, I'm not as tired as I normally would be. It's an incredible product. You definitely want to check it out. And Stem Active for pets, your little ones. They have the same problem when it comes to stem cells. It's the chewable your pets can get. It's about half the price of what we pay for ourselves. So it's actually a good buy for your little animals. And it'll help keep them healthier longer for sure. It helps them heal quicker. If they've had any surgeries, if they're just getting older in general, you're actually going to find that it's going to keep them much, much healthier as they age. It's a powerful product. Go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Make that healthy choice. Think in healthy ways and make healthy choices, and you will see health manifest in your life. It's a very powerful product. Check it out. Maduro is open to a managed exit if Trump provides amnesty. This is a very interesting way for him to get out of his situation. And I don't know if anybody would care if he, goes goes and lives in exile in Russia, and we basically say, all right, so long as you stay in Russia and you don't show up anywhere else, okay, we're cool with that. You go ahead and let Venezuela be run by the people that voted in their last leader, not you, the dictator. So we'll see. This is a neat idea. This is much better than us necessarily having to attack them. And again, so many people are like, Trump's starting all these wars. Well, if Maduro steps down and gets out of the way, Trump didn't start any wars, did he? He just made some threats. Scared the shit out of them. Flew B-52s a few times close to them, some B-1 bombers close to them. Supposedly they threw out a bunch of F-16s, launched them. Whatever. I don't know. I mean, those F-16s are so old that they've got, they're crap F-16s. I think they're the A block or one of the original. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Somali pirates hijacked an oil tanker recently. The crew has been rescued by some European Union naval force. I think the Spanish were behind that particular force that was doing something, but they were able to get the ship back from the Somali pirates. That's pretty cool. I'm sure they brought those Somali pirates here to Minnesota so they could try to run for mayor next year. I'm kind of being facetious, but sort of not. Here's Steve Bannon talking about Germany, France, and England. They are in a bad world of hurt right now. And yeah, Europe's screwed. I mean, England's technically not part of Europe, but Germany and France are in a bad place, especially Germany. So here's Steve Bannon talking about this.
You see Germany collapsing, you see France collapsing, you see England collapsing. You don't see Poland or Hungary collapsing. In fact, you see the exact opposite. They're thriving. And why are they thriving? They threw down hard about this, mass being overrun by mass immigration. And of course, Germany welcomed it, France welcomed it, and England welcomed it, Sweden, others, and now they got a world of hurt. So Viktor Orban, one of the greats, one of the true greats, running again. I think the election's in April, and he's been there 16 years, and it's taken that long to to fight Soros and to straighten things out.
And thank God they are. It's we're making progress there. We're making progress. Endgame for Germany's industrial power prices. This Green Deal failure is sparking a subsidy spiral. They are running into all sorts of problems. First off, German steel production has fallen by around 25%. They're literally, the European Union is forcing Germany to make green steel. Now, again, this is just funny because I was not sleeping well last night. So last night, I happened to watch something to do with the production of steel, and it really came into how they were recycling old ships, metal ships, and they cut them up and chop them up. It was a very interesting thing I was watching. They were refurbishing some ferry up in England. I forgot the name of it. I'd mispronounce it anyway if I saw it written down, because the way they pronounce it, I'm like, fuck, that's not how I would say it. But it's got a sister ship, yada yada, for any of you guys that actually know. But one of the things that happens in steel production is they do this thing where they pump in a bunch of oxygen, and what that does is that pulls a lot of the carbon out of the steel. So while they're heating it extensively, they pump in a bunch of oxygen, and they do this for like 5 minutes, and that pulls out a lot of the carbon. In doing that, it makes the steel less brittle, makes it stronger. So this green steel that Germany's making isn't very strong. And so who the fuck's going to buy not strong steel? And the reason is because that process of oxygenating, it spits out CO2, which generally is not a bad thing. It makes up, I think, 0.5%, 0.6%, 0.4%, somewhere in there, of our actual air. So CO2 is very little of the air at all. And again, everything that people are claiming about it, they don't really have a lot of information to back it up. And in fact, they've noticed when CO2 levels change significantly, the Earth tends to fix itself. So we're a far cry from being at that point. Whatever the case is, though, Germany's screwed. Also, they've been pushing this hydrogen thing, which kind of was interesting to me because a lot of people have been talking about how hydrogen makes more sense. I've even heard people say that the electric cars, if you bought an electric car in 2 years, you're going to be pissed because hydrogen's going to be the new thing. And hydrogen does make a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, actually. But I don't know. Germany's been doing this hydrogen stuff and nobody's buying it. There's no market for it. Yeah, it's not working. I mean, they could even use it to create power, and apparently they're not getting much power out of it. So they are putting a bunch of money in and getting very little money out. And so that's something that's destroying them as well. U.S. is shutting down its arms deliveries to the Ukraine because of the government shutdown. Let's call it that. I think that's another one of those things that's sort of funny. Lavrov kind of exposed something funny about Washington, our double standard towards resolving the Levantine and Ukrainian conflict. What he gets into is the idea that in Israel, in Gaza, you've got Palestinians living right next to Israelis in the same country. And of course, we're all about, hey, you guys need to be able to live together. And we're pushing hard for that. But when it comes to the Russians that live inside Ukraine, like Donbass and Crimea and, all those places, well, we're not feeling the same way. Why is that? And that's a very good point he makes. That's a very good point. The people that are in eastern Ukraine speak Russian, are Russian for the most part, are very pro-Russia. And for some reason, we kill all you guys. We don't care shit about you. So it is an interesting double standard that we definitely have, and I think Lavrov is correct on that. There's also a rumor that Lavrov was in bad mojo with Putin. That's been told to be untrue as well. Putin and Lavrov are getting along just fine right now. EU cannot cover Ukraine costs without tapping Russian assets, which is illegal. The World Court's already said that. So Europe is going broke, and Ukraine cannot continue to be funded. This Ukraine war is going to end very shortly because they don't have money. Now, Norway, they've been urged to tap the 1.8 trillion euro sovereign wealth fund they have. So they want them to take $1.8 trillion that they've put aside for helping other countries and just give it to Ukraine, which we know would be taken advantage of for sure, right? But that's what they're pushing. Now, is Norway stupid enough to do that? We'll find out. We'll find out how strong a hold the EU has on them. Trump strikes a nuclear deal with Viktor Orban from Hungary, says he may exempt Hungary from Russian energy sanctions. Essentially, Hungary's landlocked. They don't have a port. They don't have any other way to really get energy. There's nobody around them that has energy. There's a pipeline that Russia built through, I forget what country, but straight to Hungary. And Hungary's like, we've got no other way to get this, Trump. Help us out, man. We love you. You know that. We love you. And Trump's like, all right, we're going to work with you. We're going to make this happen because I get it. You got a problem. That's cool. That's cool. We got you. So he's being good to Orban, which is nice. All Ukraine state thermal power plants are, pretty much blowed up. Largest ever attack by Russia. Russia's been enhancing their attacks to larger and larger attacks. So this was a pretty big one. 45 missiles and over 450 drones. That doesn't sound like the biggest attack, but giant attack. And it did a lot of damage to the infrastructure, energy infrastructure in Ukraine. Ukraine is losing its ability to create energy. Russia's likely going to be able to fix the Russian places' energy pretty quickly using their power. But main parts from Kiev and around are not going to be probably capable of powering anybody. So Ukraine's screwed, and they're heading into winter, by the way, and it gets very, very cold in this part of the world during winter. This is going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge. And again, this war needs to stop. The killing needs to stop. And hopefully we can make that happen. We'll see how that continues to play out. Turkey has issued an arrest warrant for Netanyahu, pushing Israel relations to a breaking point. Now, Netanyahu's, again, we're supposed to have a ceasefire in Lebanon. Netanyahu's been attacking Lebanon. Supposed to have a ceasefire in Gaza. That's been questionable, but it's held slightly, kind of, for a couple weeks now, with a couple oopses. But Turkey is saying this. Turkey is an extraordinarily powerful force in the Middle East. They're also considered by the Muslim world to be like the fairest of them all, if you will. Turkey's got a great reputation with us, as well as with the Muslim world. And we frankly can't lose our alliance with Turkey. Now, we do have an issue with Turkey using the S-400 systems, and they wanted to buy some of our F-35 aircraft. And Trump's like, you can't have the S-400 system and then fly our stealth fighters. No. And they're like, okay, what if we work out a deal where you're able to monitor what we're doing with our S-400 and give us some of those stealth craft? Would you let us do that? And I don't know. Trump's saying he wants to make this deal, and I think he wants to be cool with Turkey. And ultimately, they don't want to give Russia the ability to study our stealth aircraft with their S-400 system. That's just kind of what they're trying to avoid. There is an S-500 system that Russia uses. I don't think they're selling that yet, and the 400 is quite capable. It's a pretty good system. So we'll see. It's an interesting thing that's happening. And again, Turkey is playing some interesting cards right now. We'll see where that continues to go. And this is the story I was just talking about, the S-400s. U.S. is going to establish a military base in Syria's Damascus. They're literally kind of building up a base that sort of exists out there. It's just on the outskirts of Damascus. I was wondering if maybe this was supposed to help make up for the Afghanistan stuff, if any of you guys maybe had that thought. Syria is a long-ass way from Afghanistan as far as, having that base. It's only an hour flight away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. So this doesn't really help in that regard. But this does help put us in a position where we can have more power in the area. So this isn't a C-130 here, but there are C-130s that have been landing on the runways to try to test how good they are and what they're capable of handling. This actually looks like a C-141 here. But needless to say, C-130s have been flying in and out of there. I don't think that's a C-5. It looks too small. Whatever. So yeah, it's an interesting situation going on out there. And a couple stories left here. Britain's reopened 1,000+ grooming gang cases after review exposes police failures. Like they just closed cases and they shouldn't have. Again, this whole grooming gang thing is a big problem. They've got all these gangs of individuals that are from foreign lands that are literally raping children. And, they kind of cover it up because it's like, well, they don't know better. They're from a different culture where they can rape children. It's like, well, yeah, but you don't allow that. So if they can't figure out they're not allowed to rape here, then they shouldn't be here, right? At least in England. So they're reopening a bunch of these cases. Hopefully that gets us to a place. Just a fun football video here. Lineman goes viral for a ridiculous interception return, and it really is ridiculous. Pretty cool. Maybe some of you saw this already, but this is pretty cool. Check this out. This is an awesome play.
Wide receiver look for the Monarchs. Another rush. They're going to throw the screen, and it's intercepted. How about the big fella, Akeem Davis? Davis staying on his feet. Look at him go. Davis.
It's like a scrum.
They can't bring him down. Akeem Davis is still moving at the 30. At the 25, he's stuck out of there. Are you kidding me, Akeem Davis? He is in for the touchdown. Oh, my God, Akeem Davis.
Yeah, the one guy that fell down in front of him and actually caused him to trip and fall. They should have tried that move a while back. Needless to say, I finally managed to get through this. I only had to break it up into 4 sections just to guarantee I didn't lose what I had done already. I love you guys. It's going to be an interesting week moving forward, so be prepared. Be ready. We got a lot of things that are happening, and we are certainly on top of it. Keep your ripples going. Keep your fingers fired up. Keep people informed. Help them through this process because it's going to be a little sketchy for a lot of us. Most importantly, though, we're doing it together. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.